Hello everyone. I hope you had a nice lunch. Did you? That good. I'd like to open the next session, so everyone are most welcome to walk in the door and take your seats. Next session is the secret life of data. I'm going to invite Sagi Chemetz, who's the CEO of Blink. Sagi is the CEO and founder of Blink, the first social media agency in Israel. Before starting, Sagi was one of the first editors and writers and held various key positions at The Marker. If you know, The Marker is the leading business magazine of Israel. In his last role at The Marker, Sagi was editor of The Marker magazine. In 2007, he founded Blink. Sagi, please take your place on the stage and invite your panelists.
Thank you. Whoa.
טוב, שלום לכם, שלום לכולם, התיישבתם כאילו ככה, בסדר, לא יזיז אתכם עד שבאתם, כל אחד הוא, everyone is a unique and special, so we are happy you are here. I start with inviting our panelist, Tal Muskal, CTO of AdExtent. Yeah. Noam, fine, CEO of Widdit. And Jeff Barr, Chief Evangelist for Amazon, last and not least, our special guest from Amazon. So we are going to talk, it's data. Everybody knows everything. שומעים? עכשיו שומעים. The secret life of data is not the technology, algorithm, all these words. The secret source or the secret life of data is, if I quote Tal, is the magic that come out of connecting all these dots and something going out, information, knowledge coming out of it. And we're going to talk a little bit about this magic in this panel, and it's a small group of very nice people and a smaller group of very nice panelists, so you're all invited to join the conversation. I want to start with a few slides I kindly got from Jeff. איך אני עובר לזה? Yeah. So, the secret life of data. Yeah. So we wanted to talk a little bit about about a word, and I asked before, I talked with the panelists and I asked Jeff what is big data and if it's really exists or it's going to be like semantic web and we are going to say big data until we're going to say something else that is not big data. So maybe Jeff, you'll start. You have your own mic, and can you tell us in a few words, it's written here in the slide, but can you tell us in a few words what is big data in your eyes and is it really exist?
All right, so to me there's a couple different things that characterize big data. So we're not so much talking about the sheer volume of data as the fact that you get to a certain size and you can't process it in the traditional way. So the traditional way says you have one file and you open up the file, you read it sequentially, and if given enough time, you can actually get to the end and you process that entire file. At the point when we get to saying big data, the time to the desired result is short enough that simply processing sequentially is never going to get us to the end. So we say we need to have some kind of a parallel process. We need to do something like a map reducer or a Hadoop model to process the data. I think also inherent in the concept is we now think in terms of saving all the raw information. In the past, all right. In the past, data storage was very expensive, and so we tended to design systems that were very conservative about the amount of information that we tracked. And then, if a year or two down the road we said, we sure wish we could go back and analyze old data, but we didn't really save all the interesting fields. The big data model says storage is now inexpensive enough and cost-effective enough. Let's just save everything, even if we don't really understand what the value is in there, so that at some point later when we decide to actually go in and analyze it, we have all the information, knowing that we're saving some things that are not necessarily useful, but we're not really spending all that much money to do so.
Okay. Tal, tell us first a little bit about you and your company. What are you doing and how is it connected to data?
Hi. Yeah, my company AdExtent. I'm Tal Muskal. My company is AdExtent. What we do is we provide a technology layer for advertising companies to retarget to provide them technology to generate retargeting campaigns and assess how much does each user worth given all the data that we know about them. So for example, if a user go to order a flight and then he leaves the site, we will predict how likely the user is going to buy the flight, and depending on all the attributes that we know about him. That's basically how and it involves taking huge amounts of data that usually needs more than one processing unit to do in normal time. So that's why it's big data.
So let's talk a little bit. We'll start with you, and we'll talk about that magic of combining all this data and using it for different things or different knowledge. We were talking before, and you said that if I have a Mac and I'm surfing the web and I'm going, let's say, to Orbit, for example, and if I'm coming from a Mac and I visit some kind of websites before I've been to Orbitz will give me higher price for hotels. So be aware, Mac holders, when you are surfing the web, you get prices that higher than people that surfing the web with PC.
Basically, you're classified successfully as suckers.
Yeah. So this is easy because Mac users are suckers. But you have better examples for this magic. For example, health and.
For another cool example is the fact that if you want to sell weight loss products, the things you need to retarget the most are local weather sites. We didn't quite actually understand why, but it just works like that. So this is the kind of magic that you come up with if you take lots of raw data and save everything and try to come up with what you can do with it later, because you don't know where the correlation is going to come from. Another cool example, a more trivial one, is if you look at two destinations when you order a flight, you're less likely to order the flight because you're probably not really planning a trip, you're fantasizing a trip. So that's a different kind of profile. I know a lot of workaholics know what I'm talking about.
So if I'm going one step further with what Tal is doing, every one of you and every one of us have a price on the web, depending of what we did, where we were, what we said, and who are our friends. And there's a stock exchange that gives a price for every one of us. Yeah, understand this? Depending of the context. Well, I have a price for Sagi for a site of tourist and a site of computer. Do you see, this is, Jeff, this is a simple, yeah. Wow, Bakasha.
So the magic sounds really magical. It sounds great. But when Tal describes his company, he says it's about technology that provides the ability to retarget. From what I know so far, the only application of big data, the only application that really works
is
to some
advertising.
extent is retargeting. So the story about weight loss when the summer comes and make users are paying more differential prices.
Yeah.
It's good for marketing.
This is exactly the question that I was referring to you, Jeff. We see the magic or the interruptions very good in the advertising business and the marketing business. You see from above the Amazon Web Services. Can you tell us a little bit about new things or markets that are different than marketing, that it's
Certainly. Now, some of these are going to be very exciting, dramatic kinds of things where you say, wow, that's a really incredibly awesome, impressive kind of thing. But some of the kind of insights and correlations that are going to come out of big data are going to be a little bit more pedestrian. They're going to be certain kinds of business optimization. So one thing that comes out very, very nicely at scale and with correlation and with analysis of large patterns is doing fraud detection. So anyone who's doing any kind of online sales where you're taking credit cards and you're taking payments and you're selling goods, you're selling services, there's a large number of people out there trying to get whatever you're selling for free with stolen or falsified or fraudulent credit card information. Now, it turns out that there are really interesting patterns of usage that I know that we've certainly noticed in our own customer bases, where a legitimate customer who signs up for our services and then goes to actually make use of those services, they go through a very distinct usage pattern of learning and slowly scaling and broadening their knowledge base, and that kind of gives you a certain slope of their usage. A fraudulent customer, on the other hand, will start out right away and will immediately try to use as much of every possible resource as possible because they have a skill level and they have a certain exploit that they're trying to run. And by being able to do a much better job of a new customer signs up and saying, is this a legitimate customer? Do they intend to actually pay their bill, or is the credit card ultimately going to be denied? Is going to result in a really good economy. It's going to be a savings of money, which ultimately results in better prices for our customers.
No, that's for sure. What I meant is within the segment of advertising, that, data has many different uses in other fields that I don't understand a thing about. That's one thing. But the thing that I do understand a little bit about is advertising, especially interactive advertising. And within advertising, as far as I know so far and from my experience, is retargeting is the only application of big data that works to some extent.
I think there's also Takey is a good example where they're using big data, not necessarily for retargeting, and they're doing a good job in that. Takey, the audience recommendation based on interests, basically. But if you know their story, it's.
I think we talk today maybe on some or few roads. One between you and the advertiser, the brand. One between the site. This is another area, and Noam, maybe you can talk a little bit. The site and how he serve the information to the customer, how he use his site, his knowledge about the users to rebuild the site every time or to give another offering to the surfer. And third, that we started to talk, and maybe we'll go for it later, about we talked about you and the machine, how the Internet of Things or all the health issues, all this necklace that now knows how much you walk in a day, what you eat, how much time you were near the computer, what you have for dinner, and he can tell you what to do. Like Tal was talking about it, but Noam, let's start with the sites. Talk a little bit, or tell us a little bit about your company, Widdit, and how do you use data, and how do you think websites will use the information that gather from the data?